Well,
yeah. I think he is back to form. He fell off a little bit last year, but he also was named Ryder Cup captain. Give me Steve Bradley. Uh-oh! Yeah.
It helps when I unmute my microphone, huh? Brad, how are you, buddy?
how we doing, bud? How we doing?
Good. Hey, so what's going on tonight? Anything good? What do you got going on tonight? Anything good? Thanks for joining us tonight. Did you freeze again? Are you pulling a Dave tonight? He's pulling a Dave tonight. He's frozen. Oh, Brad.
Drink.
Dave's never gonna. Right, exactly. Drink. You're gonna change your name to Dave here. So Brad is co-hosting with me tonight because Greg is probably sitting somewhere, I don't know where in the arena for the Pacers-Knicks game. And Dave is coaching Little League tonight. So we're going to have to hang out with Brad tonight, which I'm okay with. Brad, can you tell everybody what you do in the golf industry if they haven't seen you on our show before?
So for those of you who haven't known, I'm the president of the Midwest Amputee Golf Association. I run one of the largest amputee golf groups here in the United States. Also, we host an adaptive tournament every year for anybody with a physical disability.
Awesome. So I'm going to start. I know how your weekend was because I saw it online. You had something big this weekend with your son here, huh? Do you hear me, Brad?
No, was that? I'm sorry.
As you had a pretty big event for your son this weekend, huh?
Yeah, Tyler got to play in his first varsity playoff game as a lacrosse player for the goalie. So we're big day for him, and he's a freshman in high school. So all these things are big for him right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is.
I played a little golf this weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the products that I use a little later in the show. Definitely want to talk about a couple things that we had. But how about we hop into first round? Because we've got a major announcement in first round. We have an awesome guest during happy hour today. So it's going to be a fun show. So let's jump it right into first round here.
Yeah, let's make some noise.
Ready to take your game to the next level? Desert Fox Golf's collegiate gear is growing fast, with over 25 universities and counting. Show off your favorite team on the course with the Phone Caddy and DJ10 speaker, built for easy access for every round. Perfect for students, alumni, and college sports fans looking to show off their school spirit. Gear up today at desertfoxgolf.com.
I want to talk about Desert Fox and the speaker today. So here's the speaker. Definitely, I have one. And then this past weekend, I got to play golf with a fan of the show, somebody who might be watching tonight in Chris Usher. And one of the cool things about their speakers is that you can actually connect them and put them into stereo mode. When you put them into stereo mode, you can actually get surround sound speaker in your cart. It's awesome. So pretty excited about that. Let's I'm going to jump right in. We've got a big announcement tonight. I don't have an intro for it, but I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to bring back a former guest of the show tonight in Keith from Jacket Sunblock. One of our favorite things. You have seen me post about it. Keith, how are you, buddy?
Doing good, bud. Thanks for having me back on.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Hey, so I want to make the big announcement, but I before we make this big announcement, I know when we had you on, one of the things we talked about was the spray. Now with Jacket, this is like the best sunblock in the entire planet. It was funny. I played, like I said, I played Saturday morning, and I went and put some on. I was with my buddies, and they were like, "Why you put sunblock on?" I'm like, "Because if I show up at my show on Tuesday night with a sunblock partner on there, I'll never hear the end of it." So
talk about pressure, man. I know. It's like I tell my kids all the time. It's hard to sell sunscreen with a sunburn, or with,
right.
Yeah.
So, Keith, I want to first talk. When we had you on, we talked. I know Dave was really inquisitive about the spray sunblock. You got a big announcement for that spray. Can you go into that?
Yeah, we're excited. So, not to overstay my welcome here, but the lotion sunscreen that you were holding up, the SPF 50. That's actually been around since 2017. The patented formula, you've been through all this. It's got the anti-aging. But I think you and I both agree, as awesome as that anti-aging element is, what makes Jacket, what gets me excited. I don't get excited about sunscreen very often, right? What gets me excited is you put it on, you really don't feel like you're wearing sunscreen. It's just lightweight, non-friction, check, you get all that.
Yep.
But obviously the big appeal is the anti-aging element. So that's been around since 2017, the lotion, which you just held up. And beginning actually this Thursday, we will be receiving our first shipment of the spray sunscreen, which is really exciting for us. It'll be a 6-ounce spray can, like you see. It'll be an SPF 30, not quite 50. So, but honestly, I think we got in the numbers a little bit last time. SPF 50 means it blocks 98% of the rays. SPF 30 means it blocks 97. So you're losing 1% of coverage there. So not a big sacrifice there, but it does have the same anti-aging elements as the lotion does. So very exciting. I know spray sunscreen is convenient for a lot of people, and we're excited to offer it.
I like the cream. This is unbelievable, especially face and arms. I like the spray on my legs just because it's just easier. Just spray it and keep going. So I'm excited to get my hands on that spray. I know Dave is too.
Yeah.
But the reason we've got you here tonight is we've got a big announcement about the Golfing Dads Tavern and Jacket sunscreen. So I'll let you make the announcement.
Well, I mean, I just know that we're excited to officially be a partner of the Golfing Dads Tavern here as a sponsor of the show, and something that we're excited about. And to be able to kind of reach out to your audience. And I know how much the sunscreen meant to you, because you were kind of like I was. I don't know Dave and Greg quite as well. I know Dave's a spray guy, so I'm excited for the breaking news tonight. But I think Greg and yourself and me as well, guys that are kind of slow to the party with the sunscreen stuff. And to have something that we're excited about. And then honestly, true story, we don't want to work with just anybody. Even when it comes to retail, we want people that really actually truly like the product, believe in the product, and want to be a part of our program. And you were excited about that. And that was genuine. And we want to do good work with good people. And that's you guys. And we're excited to be a part of your team.
Well, on a cooler note, I'm glad you guys are a part of us, but I do want to share for our viewers out there that want to be a part of Jacket and understand the Jacket benefits. If you go to jacketsunscreen.com.
Yep.
Jacketsunscreen.com. When you go to checkout, put in that code Golfing Dads. You're going to get 20%, all one word, Golfing Dads, all one word. You're going to get 20% off your order of Jacket. So definitely want to check that out. And we are excited to have them as part of our family here and to keep the ball rolling on that. So I know I love using it. My wife likes it when I use it. I like when I use it when I get home, so she doesn't yell at me. Got too much sun, because that's what she does, and she's good at that. I appreciate it. But I really appreciate you coming in and joining us tonight to make this announcement, because it's a great partnership. You're a great guy, and we couldn't be more excited to be part of a great company.
Well, likewise. And one last thing I'll say, and then I'll jump. So our founder, Dr. Balshi, is a dermatologist, right? So when we got started in this whole deal, you're saying you don't like wearing it usually, or why do you wear it? So I asked him early on, I said, you're a dermatologist. If people really truly wore sunscreen the way it's recommended, how would that affect you as a dermatologist? And he said it would put me out of business. So I'm sure he was taking a little bit of creative liberty in there, but it does show you the importance and, why we wear it, because, most of us got to learn things the hard way, at least guys like us, right? So
we're hard-headed. Yep.
we're pretty dumb. So this thing
Yeah.
makes it easy. It eliminates all the excuses for not wearing it. And yes, Steve, we absolutely appreciate you putting this on a few months ago and allowing me to come back. I usually don't get visited back again. So this is a big deal for me, man. I'm usually one
Well,
and done.
hey, you know what? You can come on anytime you want. You guys have a big announcement. Come on. You are more than welcome. Just shoot me a text. You know how to get hold of me.
Awesome. But yes, jacketsunscreen.com, golfing dads, all one word, 20% off.
Yep.
Steve, Dave, Greg, Bradley, if you make it back, thank you so much, guys, and enjoy the rest of the show, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate it.
All right,
buddy. It's so awesome. We couldn't be more excited to be with an awesome brand like that. It's one of the things we try and do with our brand in the Golfing Dads is be tied with great brands, and they are definitely a great brand. So I want to finish off first round. There's been some hot button issues in golf lately, so I definitely want to have some conversations about that. If you go back, I will repost it on Facebook and Instagram and post a link to it in our Instagram bio. Today marks the 1-year anniversary of Grayson Murray passing away. And with Grayson passing away, just shy of a year ago, we had we did a show with the suicide prevention hotline, and it was an amazing show. Funny, I never thought in starting a podcast in 100 years that we would have the suicide prevention hotline on. And I have to say that when I look back at moments that I'm probably the most proud of in the 2.5 years we've been doing this show, that one rates up there is probably number one. So if you get a chance, go back and check that out, please. And ask questions. And if you need help, seek help. Ask those questions, and we can definitely go and watch that show, because it's definitely a great show to watch. I think Brad has finally got his computer fixed here. Brad, how are you, buddy?
How we doing, man?
We're good. We're up and running. Hey, so before we get into happy hour, I know we talked about this. I've got 3 hot topics.
Yeah.
I want to jump into. And in those 3 topics, I will say the topic, and we each get 1 minute. We'll do this kind of PTI style. How's that sound? That sound good?
Works for me.
First one, I didn't tell you about this one, but I'll lead with it. I want to know what's more impressive: Scotty Scheffler's 9 wins, including the Olympics last year, or Angel Cabrera spending 40 months in jail and winning his first 2 majors that he plays in on the Champions Tour.
Good gosh. Right off the bat. You know what? I'm still going to go with Scotty.
Okay.
I think, ratting together those wins is Tiger Woods-ish. We always hear how hard it is to win one tournament, and nothing against Angel Cabrera, being in prison, but to rattle off as much as what Scotty has done, I'm all for that.
I'm only going to point out one take, and I don't need a full minute to talk about this. The only take I have on that is that Tiger Woods got in a car wreck and his game went south. Angel spent 40 months in prison, probably wrongfully accused. I mean, that was pretty impressive. So I'll just leave it at that. Next one, this week on the PGA Tour SiriusXM Radio, Lucas Glover, someone whose group I caddied didn't drink. Lucas came out and said that they talked about why at the PGA all these guys get hit for drivers failing, and this isn't the first time that's happened at a major. And they asked him about it, and they asked him why it doesn't happen week in, week out on the PGA Tour. And he said that most of the guys on the PGA Tour will give their backup drivers to the PGA Tour guys that test. Are you surprised at this?
No. These guys have access to some of the greatest equipment, and they push the needle. I mean, if you think this is the only professional sports that doesn't push the needle, I mean, look at NASCAR, look at, baseball players when they get stuck with loaded bats. They will push the envelope near and far to that legal limit. And I don't blame them for at least trying to get the advantage.
Yep. And then last and definitely not least, came out yesterday that LIV Golf announced that there will be no more signing bonuses for re-signing after their deals are up. I know DJ's deal comes up this year, and you have Brooks and Bryson coming up next year. First question, are you surprised at this? And then second question, does it change people's opinion on whether or not they want to stay on LIV Golf?
Well, I'm not surprised by it. I mean, I don't think LIV's making any money. I think they're losing money. And, we've talked in the past about any business venture, anybody who's in business is in business to make money. So it's not surprising that, they're not going to throw out big sums of cash to players now when they did originally to get LIV off the ground. And I do think, this is the beginning of the end as far as you're seeing some big name players over on the LIV side. I think you'll see more players leave than you will see join LIV going forward, or at least in the immediate future, as long as this practice is going to be no huge bonuses up front, because even the players aren't making money at that point.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this because I have my opinion on who's first to defect. Who's first to defect back to the PGA Tour?
It's going to be one of the lower name players. It's not going to be one of the big name players right off the bat. I think you're going to see, somebody like Will Zalatoris come over.
Zalatoris is already on.
He's already over. I take it back.
Who's coming back?
Who's coming back? You mean a guy like Reed? I would see him. Doing it for money.
I actually don't see P. Reed coming over. I think
Really?
the first one to come back will be Brooks.
Really?
I think Brooks will be the first one.
He gets the best of both worlds already, though. I mean, he already gets what he wants with the majors.
I honestly think he misses playing. I think he misses playing with some of the guys. I think he is.
Yeah.
And let's be real. Do the guys on tour really want P. Reed back?
No.
No.
I don't want him back, but I just fear that it's going to happen.
The cheater himself. Hey, let's hop into happy hour because I definitely want to improve the looks of us two ugly guys on this show.
Oh my God, yes.
So let's jump right into happy hour here because it's got to get better than the two of us hosting this show. I'm excited tonight for our guest, partly because you have told me her name and talked about her. We're talking well over a year now that you've talked about our guest tonight as an incredible individual, as someone who is growing the game, and as someone who I will just be honest with you. The last time we had a female guest on our show, it is our #1 most viewed show. So definitely going to improve on the looks of you and I hosting tonight. So hopefully more people will watch. So let's welcome Sarah Larson to the stage. Sarah, how are you tonight? Welcome to the Tavern.
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate cheers. Sarah, I mean everything that I say when he has talked very highly about you for a very long time. We're going to get into this later on. I'm sure that you are actually running the Midwestern Amputee Golf Association, not Brad. So we'll get into that later. But Sarah, you are an adaptive golfer. You're on the board of MWAGA with Brad. You're on the board of the U.S. Adaptive Golf Association. And while we're going to get into these areas, can you start by telling us your journey in adaptive golf?
Yes. When I started golf, I was a lot older in life. Most people's journey starts when they're younger. Your dad or your mom takes you out at 3 years old. That wasn't me. I never thought golf was for me until I met my husband. And he is an amazing golfer. Times it drives me nuts hearing about it and watching it, but he really is great. And I was that wife that would ride along when he had tournaments and have some beers along the way and just have some fun. And one day he said, "Let's get you golfing." And I said, "Are you nuts? How am I going to golf with one hand?" And he goes, "Well, You're probably going to have to aim a little bit better, and it's going to be harder for you, but let's do it. So I took a lesson, and I hated it. I was so frustrated. I'm like, there's no way I can get this. And then I had that one connection in that lesson, and that was it. That ball freaking flew, and I was like, let's do this. And it's still hard. It's still hard to this day. I need to practice. I need to have rhythm. But in the end, I realized I could do something that I was too stubborn to even try. And I thank him for it all the time.
Well, that's awesome. That's
Looking back, you talk about that one lesson. You and I have had that story before. You and I shared that story together a bunch of times. What was the moment when you really got the golf bug, when you decided, you know what, now I'm playing? Was it that round, or was it that practice, or was it something else?
No, actually, the moment I got the golf bug unofficially was when I realized I could wear cute outfits, match some things, and have all the accessories.
You do.
You need to meet. My wife doesn't play golf, but you definitely need to meet my wife on that one, because that's how she thinks about it too. So definitely, that's awesome. So
the official part was I kind of forced myself into a local golf league just to have fun with the ladies. And they said, the league isn't that good, so you'll have fun. We don't care what your scores are. And then when I started hitting really good and playing better than the ladies in the golf league, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. I want more. Let's keep going.
Nice. Now, we dove into a little bit with MWAGA, the Midwestern Amputee Golf Association. 2 questions. Can you talk about your role at MWAGA besides running it? Because we know Brad isn't. We know you are. And 2, are you beating Brad in golf? That's really what we really want to know here tonight.
Well, if you've ever seen the movie Fight Club, the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. So that's kind of the same with MWAGA. We all know who does the work behind the scenes, but we cannot talk about it.
Good answer, Sarah.
Perfect.
Good answer.
But for real, I've been on the board for, a long time. And the board works so well together. His event, or I should say our event that we put on, is really focused not only just on competition, but mostly on the people that are there. Because in the end, adaptive golf is about connecting with others with similar disabilities or likeness of yourself. And to me, it's one of the best events I go to. I actually shop around to see who's going to what events, and that's always one I mark on my calendar.
I've got some travel planned. Actually, I'm going to the Open in July, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know which. And I've got to look at my travel schedule, because I want to see if I can come up for your event, Brad, in September, and bring the Tavern there and see what we can do. But I've got to look at travel schedule and day job time off. So we'll TBD that one, Sarah, because I'd love to say hello, and then also maybe your husband and I can go and play golf and have some fun. So and we'll try out and take his money. That's what we'll do.
We do have an associate division you can play in, because Scott plays in it every year too. So Scott needs some competition.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to read some of the comments from Instagram. There's one from H Schubert 99 that says, "Sarah, I love you."
I love you too.
I wonder who that could be.
I wonder who that could be.
So, Sarah, let's stop talking about MWAGA here and rattling our, but with the U.S. Adaptive Golf Association, what is your role there?
So the U.S. Adaptive Golf Association, I am the chairperson of the Women's Committee. So it's a committee that was started a few years ago to really try and grow the ladies field, because we know at most of the events we go to, there's maybe a handful. Maybe a couple events have max 10 to 12. Otherwise, we're all scattered out in local events that we never see each other. So our focus is to not only raise awareness, but grow the field and realize that, because we're ladies, we can golf. And sometimes, as Steve was talking before, we can beat some of the guys. So to your question before about beating Bradley, it depends on the day. If I'm playing very well and Bradley's on his off game, oh yeah, hands down, he's going down. But if I'm all over the place and hitting wrong, my bet would be on him that day.
I'm just saying it hasn't happened in competition yet, Sarah.
As far as Sarah, as far as the Team USA and the US group, does your role allow you to represent Team USA in any competitions?
In fact, just recently, I was in Scotland in St. Andrews, part of the official 2020 Phoenix Cup, but it was canceled due to COVID. So they removed to 2024. And that was probably one of the best experiences I have ever had. Oh, got my hat on today too. I met so many amazing people, played some epic courses, and just to represent the US alone is an honor I never thought I would have had in my lifetime.
That's so awesome. And at the home of golf in St. Andrews, like I couldn't even imagine. Like I think I would probably have to pinch myself to make sure I was still alive on the first tee if that was happening. So I can't even. You did.
Like, and on hole 17, you have to clear the hotel, and I'm like, oh great, this is the time I'm gonna have the shanks, and I'm gonna hit the window, and something's gonna bounce back. But I cleared the hotel. I was very proud.
Perfect.
So, Sarah, you're an arm amputee, not an amputee. You had birth defect that had the arm missing. I'm a leg amputee. You know, from a disability standpoint, most people with disabilities say they can't, or I don't know if I can. You know, when it comes to most sports, including golf, how do you think they get that? How can they get around it so they can?
The only barriers you put on yourself are the ones that you do. So
Amen.
When I was growing up, my parents always said, you can do whatever you want. And my mom, I was at age 3. I wanted an orange so bad. And she said, Sarah, I'm doing the laundry. Can you just please wait 10 minutes? At that age, I had 0 patience. And I said, I'm going to figure this out. She walked up from the laundry, saw me sitting on the floor of the kitchen with my big toes stuck into that orange, and I was peeling it myself. I always say, if there is a will, there is a way. And if you think you can't, you got to find a way, because then you're going down a road you don't want to go to.
Oh, that's awesome. I think as a member of the media that we are here, everyone in the media always talks about how do you grow the game. Like it's a never-ending conversation that we all have. On this podcast, we've actually had Brad as our guest. I know that's, you can question that. We've also had Chad Pfeiffer and Adam Benza. Not one of our finer moments, I will say, on this podcast with those two. But adaptive golf has been embraced, obviously, by the United States Golf Association with the Adaptive Championship. What else do you think can be done to not only get more people in playing in adaptive golf, but talking about it, playing it, growing that game? What else do you think can be done for that?
We need help. We're a small community, and we can't do it by ourselves. You look at the LPGA, you look at all the big ticket players, they have people backing them up. They're on TV, they're live streaming, they have the backup to help them move forward. We're just lacking that. If someone can help promote it for us, that's great. I mean, you can look at people's Instagrams and you can see some people that have 50 followers and someone that has 50,000. But how do we pull together to help not only just get the name out of what adaptive golf is, because that's how you grow the game, but also showcase those players that are new, showcase those players that are amazing. We need that platform. So if anyone's out there, please, can you help us all out?
I'm going to say this, and I've played golf with Brad's been with us. Chad, I've played some golf with Chad and Adam. Everybody that plays in adaptive golf is amazing, and that's I will say, take that to my grave. Every one of you is unbelievable to get out there and do what you guys do and bring awareness to not only the disabilities, but to growing the game and to doing what you guys do. And it's very fun. Brad was with us PGA Show Week this year, and we just sat and talked. And that, I think, is the most fun that we have, is to get out on the golf course, hit golf shots, and just chat. And I know everyone that knows Chad Pfeiffer is obviously Chad's a very good golfer. Adam, his caddy, who caddies for him, is a good golfer as well, although he's never beaten me. But Chad has. But no, when you look at overcoming and you talk about that, it is such a cool thing to sit and watch and hang out in that environment that I'm with you. Like, there just needs to be more awareness. I do think the United States Golf Association adding the Adaptive Golf Championship is a great thing. I know, Brad, you're this weekend, and Sarah, I know we're talking about you, but I know, Brad, you're going this weekend to Kentucky for an Adaptive Championship this weekend. The more events that are out there, and if there's an event in your area, go and watch, go and talk. I guarantee you. And Sarah, I'm going to read another comment from that same viewer here. I don't know who she is. Sarah's growing the game with her friendly demeanor and positive attitude. If anyone shows up to watch, I guarantee you that everyone that I've ever encountered from the adaptive golf community, whether it's John Bell, who's another one that I'm friends with, you will learn something and you will broaden your horizon and you will benefit from that experience.
You will. And ironically, you said that because I played with Chad Pfeiffer 2 years ago at an adaptive event, and I felt like I needed to keep up with him. And we're two different players, two different handicaps physically and number-wise, and I played my worst round. But I stayed positive, I remained focused, and I kept going. And after he said to me, "You know what, Sarah? I learned so much from you today. You didn't get upset. You kept smiling. You found a way to get through it." And he's like, "We're all here to learn from each other." And it's true. I take so much away from people that I play with and I watch. It's inspiring to me as an adaptive player to watch others.
The funny story how I met Chad, Brad knows this story. Back the last year, it was 2021. It was the last year they did the Hilton Grand Vacation Tournament Champions when it was the Diamond Resorts Invitational at Tranquilo in Orlando. I actually caddied the Pro-Am and then caddied the tournament on Thursday and Friday for somebody.
Frank.
And on Friday, I know, I've got caddy bibs back there too, Brad. On Friday, we got paired up with Chad and Brett Baer from Fox News. And I've said this, Adam and I have talked about it. It's probably the most fun we've ever had. Both of us didn't know each other going into it. And it was the most fun I've ever had caddying in a golf tournament for somebody. Just because of everybody was just, hey, like from the first tee to the last hole, we literally just had fun. We laughed. Brett asked Chad, and again, don't want to ask that story. And I'm working on Chad to try and get him on the show because I want him to tell the story. And so I don't want to spoil it, but hearing the story about how Chad lost his leg in Afghanistan, and it's literally like, I literally sat there like a fly on the wall, like with my mouth wide open, listening to Chad tell the story. And I'm like, that's literally the craziest thing I've ever heard. So, when you look at what goes on, and like you said, Chad, you could play the best round of golf ever with Chad. You could play the worst round of golf ever. In that community, everybody's just supportive of each other. And I think that is one of the things that I think is very different than even the guys that all play together on the weekend trying to take each other's money aren't that supportive of each other. So, it's such a cool story when you hear, someone like Chad who, and I'm going to get into that right now. Let's talk about that. Last week, Chad was in Colonial. He was at Colonial in Fort Worth for the Charles Schwab Cup playing in the Pro-Am, and he played with Michael Block. Everybody knows Michael Block after his PGA from 2 years ago, and Sam Hahn from LIV Golf. And Chad's story got a huge boost because of the big break, obviously. Being on the big break on the Golf Channel was a huge boost for him. When you look at the PGA and the LPGA Tour, and they do things like having Chad there, not only growing the men's game for adaptive, but how do you think they could do things to grow the women's game in adaptive golf?
Similar. Open up the door of possibilities. Get to know us. Maybe come to one of our events, see what we're able to do, not only on the course, but out, and see what we can do to help each other. I think, like you said, Chad being on there is showcasing that golf is for everyone.
Yeah.
If we can have the LPGA do that as well, it's going to grow that women's field immensely for those that are adaptive or not to get out there and play. I know so many wives or girlfriends that don't play because they say it's a man's sport. It's everyone's sport. Get out there, try it.
Yeah.
Don't make an excuse. So I think partnership is going to be key. Just open that door, see what we can do together, because that's what we're going to need is partnership.
No, that's awesome.
I think I like in the part to what Steve was talking about a second ago. And, you know, Sarah, you and I have two different unique stories. And just the same with Chad, with Adam, with a bunch of the other guys and ladies that play our game. We all have a different story. And I think that's one of the really neat elements with our little community in adaptive golf is that our path to get to the game of golf and our pathway through the game of golf is not the same. There are a lot of guys that have been, you know, golfing buddies that were in high school together, that played golf together, that still play golf together all the way through, you know, their later years in life. And, you know, for some of us, golf didn't come as a sport that we thought we were going to be in. Some of us, we picked it up, you know, post amputation or post injury. And, you know, we took it up as a form of therapy. You know, some of us have been playing all our lives and continue to play it even after our energy. But the story of how we got to golf and how we use it are so unique. I liken it to when we do have those opportunities to talk to people about the game of golf that, you know, anyone can play. Pick up a golf club and take a swing. And, you know, when I host these shows, when I'm able to talk about the game of golf and adaptive golf, that is the one thing I always like to end on when I'm talking is anybody can play this game. Anybody can play. You might not be Tiger Woods, you may not be Scotty Scheffler, but you know what? You can definitely be Brad Schubert. You can definitely beat on him for a little bit, and that's okay. So I want to thank you, Sarah, you know, for coming on.
Thank
really,
you.
this conversation's always great. I always love having you on. I always love having you talk about people, talk about your game to help others. And especially, you know, this week being, you know, Women in Golf Week, I wanted to make sure that, you know, you had a voice and that we had this conversation. Before I let you go, where can viewers go to follow your journey?
Oh, well, like everyone, I have an Instagram. So my Instagram is Sarah, SarahBeth 1979. Now you all know how old I am. So Sarah Beth 1979. I don't have a lot of followers. So I'm a grower, not a shower in terms of fans. So please help me grow my followers so I can touch more adaptive ladies or even just women to get them on the course. So that's where you'll find me. And then this Friday, you will find me in Erin Hills following Charlie Hull.
Nice.
Outstanding.
That's awesome. Oh, you're going to the Women's Open, huh?
I am on Friday. I'm so excited.
Oh, it's so cool. I will say, having caddied on the LPGA Tour and caddied this tournament a few times and been around a few LPGA players, they are the best to talk to if you get a chance to sit and chat with them. And they are Charlie. I actually know Charlie's caddy. His name is Adam, by the way. And Adam is a riot. So if you get a chance to talk to Adam, he's hilarious. He's an old British guy, and I can tell you that he and I have had a few pints together. We'll just leave it at that.
Let's keep Adam name because most Adams I know are pretty funny too.
Yeah, well, except for Benza, he's really not that funny.
Yeah, he's a unique individual. Right?
He's a unique individual. That is the best way to describe him, as a unique individual. So well, Sarah, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And we can't wait to see. I'm actually looking forward to your pictures from Friday at the Open. So make sure you post them on your Instagram account, please.
Deal.
So, all righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
Yeah, Brad, she is definitely running MWAGA, not you.
Well, yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. And
between her and Heidi, you know what? They're the backbone of what I do. You know,
yeah, I could see
it's
that.
funny, but it is true.
Just a couple comments from the someone who's been commenting.
The Peanut Gallery.
The peanut gallery. That's all Brad does. Talk, talk, talk. And then Adam depends on the day. LOL.
I'm surprised Heidi didn't say it was an acquired taste.
Yeah, no, he really is. That's why I like him. So, all right, let's. I've got a good smack of the week this week. You ready for this smack of the week this week?
Yeah.
Smack of the week. The person in this video definitely needs to get the Bridgestone mindset, because that Bridgestone mindset would have helped him not do what he just did.
You're right.
Dude got smoked in the mouth.
Oh, he got all that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He got smoked. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah, he got smoked. Don't recommend that anybody doing that ever. Definitely, don't do that. Just don't do that.
Yeah, that's bad idea.
Want to jump into last call, Brad?
Sure. Do you want to do the unboxing first? Or you want to do?
Oh wait, we do have an unboxing. Let me see. Hold on. Do I have Don't have an unboxing intro. Well, we're just gonna go. Brad actually got a package in today. It's upside down, but that says LAB, LIV Golf. Recently we had Bill Pressey on. So Brad, why don't you open that up and see what we got in the mail today?
So this is the new toy that Adaptive Golf loves as much as the industry itself. And I got, of course,
what did we get here?
A new grayed out.
You got an Oz?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna play around with the Oz. I played with
I'm gonna
one
need you to
and-
come down and visit. I'm gonna need to borrow that and try that out.
Lefty, remember I'm a lefty.
Oh, yeah. Well, it might actually improve my putting.
It might improve your putting, right? But I played with one of these. I played with both the DF1 and this one, and I kept coming back to this one. So
Nice.
when we got fitted and everything, it felt right, and it worked out well. So this is what we decided to go with.
That's awesome.
I did get the one with the steel, with the steel insert.
With the insert, no, that's a good idea. I've got a couple buddies that have them, and they like the insert a lot.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So
I can't wait to put it in the bag and play it. I mean, I get a practice round in tomorrow before I leave for Kentucky, so I'm gonna put it in the bag right away and see how it goes.
You're playing way more golf than me. I'm kind of jealous. So,
well, I am disabled, so I get to play a little bit more. Come on now.
Okay. All right. Let's hop into last call. You don't want to know the comments that were just posted on Instagram, by the way.
Probably not.
I don't think it'll help his game. And then the next one is, he's got big dreams.
Is that both from Heidi?
Yes, 100%.
Of course.
Last week on the PGA Tour, Ben Griffin won. Ben is now a two-time winner on the PGA Tour. He won New Orleans, and now he's won Colonial. Funny enough, a friend of the show and the Orlando golfer, his high school teammate, has also won New Orleans and Colonial, and Davis Riley. It was a great week by Ben. There were some questions. Did you watch any of Sunday's round or no?
A little bit.
Did you see the ruling on 14 that he got?
No, I missed that. Oh, geez.
So he pulled it in the trees left on 14 and got line of sight ruling because there was a big Charles Schwab sign, and got line of sight moved to the right, which also got him out of the way of a tree because of where they put the sign. Rules are rules. I had no problem with it, but social media was abuzz with people complaining about the fact that he got those rules, that he got this gift of they were calling it a gift of a ruling. The rules are what they are. You got to play by them, right?
Even with that, I mean, look at events that have tents, like the tents that are near the greens and the relief that
Correct.
they get from that. I don't think that's any different. If they're going to put obstructions out there for spectators and stuff, the sign is the same thing. They've got to get relief just the same way, and it's got to be fair and equitable to everybody. And I think that's still fair and equitable. Yeah, it benefited for him, getting the drop there, but it's no different from any other rule that benefits that way. You can look at people who take relief from a cart path or take relief from standing water based on some of the courses they play, and in the relief area they're able to drop, and they're in a better lay than they originally had.
Mm-hmm. No, I would agree with that. So I didn't have a problem with it. This week we turn our attention to the Memorial at Muirfield Village. Jack's tournament, signature event. Something interesting, and I just want to point this out. Rory's skipping this week, and it's his third skipped signature event.
It's unfortunate. I wish Rory would play in more events. He's the face right now, for lack of a better word. There's Scotty Scheffler, and everybody wants to see him win, but you've got Rory, who is the de facto Grand Slam champion right now, and to see him in more events that are the high end ones, just not the majors, it would just help the game. And I wish he would be at more events, to help promote.
Now he's taking this week off to play Canada next week before the Open. I get it. I get it because scheduling is awful at this time of year. I also think that at some point, I still don't understand how the Canadian Open isn't a signature event. I don't.
Right.
I just feel like at some point they need to make it a signature event, at least for a year or two, and try it out, because I think that it needs to be one. I can understand from a scheduling standpoint, Rory wanting to go to Canada. And again, Canada's an event not a lot of guys play. So Rory going there is great for the Canadian Open. Scotty's not going to play. Scotty's not going to play. So the problem that I have is you created these signature events for the PGA Tour for these guys to all play in and get the best players playing in them. And there's 3 of them that Rory hasn't shown up for.
Yeah. You want to see Rory against the best competition too. I mean,
yeah, correct.
And not to say the Canadians cookie cutter, not to say, some of the other events that he hasn't won, or done well in have been, marquee events, but by not showing up to where there's the strongest field, that's where you start to question some of how good is he really. But I want to make sure I want to see him play in more events rather than just the majors, and rather than just events he thinks he can win. Let's put him up against the best and watch him go from there.
I do want to get one quick conversation before we get into odds with Dave, and then we make our picks for the week. I got out and played my second round with my DS Adapt driver, Future Fit 33 technology from Cobra. I have to say, if you get the settings right, you just point it and hit it, and it goes right where you want it to go. I missed one fairway, and it was because I was we were using T-box dice, and so I was playing an up tee based on what I rolled on the T-box dice, and I was trying to drive the green, and I missed it left, trying to hit driver into a front left pin, and hit it in the pond left. But it's the only hole I missed, and I was just trying to munch one and hit a high draw in there and get it close. It is the stupidest. It's a cheat code for golf, and I'll be honest with you, like that driver, Bradley, you need that in your bag. It's unbelievable.
Since the PGA show, and you have been talking, you and Craig both have been talking about that the scalability of that fitting of that driver and getting it toned in. And I think once you guys hit that sweet spot, for your settings, the thing's a monster for both of the two of you. So that's
like
no
literally.
surprise.
Again, I watched Greg get one straight. There's your first thing. Like, how did that happen?
Yes.
So let's get into odds with Dave. That's quickly turning into odds with Steve tonight. Odds with Dave, presented by the Nikon Cool Shot Stabilized Pro 3. If you aren't using the Nikon, which is the official rangefinder of the LPGA Tour and the official rangefinder of the Golf and Dad's Tavern, this rangefinder is unbelievable. It locks on a target. You know, if you've been to the tavern and you've had a couple drinks and your hand's a little shaky, don't worry. This rangefinder's got you covered. It'll stabilize. So,
It's also the official rangefinder of Brad Schubert and the playing in the adapted.
yes,
I have one as
yes,
well.
it is.
It's a great I
so
got
good.
turned on to that from Greg or from Steve at the show, and the second I saw it, I had to get one. So that was one of my purchases when I got back from the show and everything. So very
That's awesome.
very happy with it.
Man, your wife is letting you spend a lot of money since the PGA show. Get a new rangefinder,
tell
get a
her.
new lab putter. Heidi, yeah, okay. So, let's get into odds this week. Obviously, Rory's not in the field, so at a signature event. So,
So Dave can't pick Rory. Okay.
no, Dave can't pick Rory. Scotty's going off at 2.5 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Morikawa and Xander at 16 to 1. Still don't think Xander's over his back injury, so I don't know that
I don't think so either.
Yeah. JT's at 18 to 1. A guy that hasn't won, he's won here, but he hasn't won in quite a while. Patrick Cantley is 22 to 1. I still think that's a little low for him.
That is kind of low.
A guy that hasn't won on the PGA Tour ever, in Tommy Fleetwood, is 25 to 1.
Really?
Corey Connors and Victor Hovland are going off at 30 to 1. And Shane Lowry, Daniel Berger, Jordan Spieth, and Hideki Matsuyama are going off at 35 to 1.
So I thought Jordan would be higher on that list right now. That's little.
I think he's closer to 50 to 1. We'll just leave it at that. So I picked first because I missed the cut last week.
Okay.
I'm taking Scotty.
That's
We all knew
not a
where that
shot.
was. We all knew where that was going.
You'd be silly.
Greg is taking Colin Morikawa.
Okay.
And Dave is taking Justin Thomas.
Justin Thomas would have been my vote too. I think if I wasn't picking Scotty Scheffler, JT at this event has always done really well. So kind of watching him play is really going to be one of the things I look for this weekend.
If I could give you Scotty Scheffler or the field, who are you taking this weekend?
I'd take Scotty.
Wow, over the field?
Yeah, over the field.
Wow.
Here's the thing: if Scotty is at a point now where if he's within striking distance, come on Saturday or Sunday, I don't think most players can hang with him. And if they do, they've wilted. What we saw a couple weeks ago, you saw him roar up and he took the lead, at the major, and then he abolished everybody, 2 weeks later when he played and to win by 3. So, and it's one of those things where I just until you catch him, he would be the one I had. My safe money would be on Scheffler.
Okay. All right, that's fair. I mean, obviously, he played Colonial last week and got backdoored his way to a top 5. I think he finished 4th at Colonial. I know it's kind of a backdoor one. He didn't play great on Thursday or Friday, so getting in there.
I think Friday was his weaker day, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he barely made the cut, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, look who's on the leaderboard. Come Sunday, there's Scotty's name again. I think Memorial fits his game a little more than Colonial does, being a shorter golf course that Colonial is and very tree lined and narrow. Now, Scotty's arguably the best driver of the golf ball on tour right now. Hits it a mile and it's a dead straight. But I do think that the turns at Colonial and the way the golf course is routed, I think Memorial fits his game a whole lot better. So could be interesting. Also, it is the 50th anniversary of Memorial, and they have an honorary person that they designate every year that it honors, and this year they're honoring Barbara Nicholas, and kudos to them for honoring Barbara and what she's meant to arguably she's meant as much to the game close second behind even Jack and what she's done for the wives and getting the wives out and doing things. So kudos for that. Barbara's an amazing individual, and kudos to them for honoring her. So
she's one of the driving forces with the Children's Hospital out there too, isn't she?
yes.
Yeah.
So, Brad, thank you for joining us tonight.
I'm sorry. Again, I apologize for some of the technical difficulties early. And congratulations to you.
We'll
and
just call you Dave. And yeah, I know your thing says Bradley, not Dave or Greg, but you were definitely Dave tonight.
I was Dave tonight.
And I greatly appreciate you joining us. Sarah, thank you for joining us as well this evening. And Keith, thanks for hopping in and announcing our partnership, brother. Awesome show tonight, and we definitely appreciate everybody watching. We will see you next week. Hope everybody has an awesome week. Deuces.
Really fortunate, man. I mean, having the opportunity to build something that's
And remember, folks, use code GolfingDads to get 15% off your order at Desert Fox Golf. Also use code GolfingDads to get 15% off your order at golfish.com. Use code GolfingDads to get 20% off your order at Jacket Sunscreen, and use the Golfing Dads Tavern to get 5% off your order at FlightScope.